And I think we are where we need to be. Happy Friday night, everyone, and welcome back to the Ales and Fails Twitch stream. I'm your host, Aelwolf, otherwise known as Ales, gentleman streamer. Some people call me Allison for some reason. Welcome back to Friday, everyone. Happy Friday to all of those of you out there tuning in from internet world. Here's hoping that you've had a successful end of the week. Here's hoping that you've got amazing plans for the weekend. I certainly hope that you do. Mines are lukewarm, but you know what? Things might pick up. You never know. Weekends are always full of surprises, kind of like boxes of chocolate, especially if they're the white variety. Tonight, we're back in the corner known as the Retro Rathskeller, which means that we'll be playing a retro game. It's a bit of a cheat today, though, because we're playing Radical Dreamers from the remastered version of Chrono Cross for the Switch. Now, Radical Dreamers was a game that was originally released in Japan only for the Nintendo Satellaview. And I know there's a B there. This is the Nintendo BS, as they say. It was a game that was supposed to be the follow-up to Chrono Trigger originally. Never released in the States, except of course through ROM form. And it was more or less the story seeds that led to the story of Chrono Cross, which is actually one of my favorites. This is, I believe, my third session playing this, and yeah, it's been interesting. I gotta say that at first when I started playing it, I was just a little bit. I want to say maybe I was taken a little bit aback by the level of text that's involved in the story, but I think I've grown accustomed to how heavy it is in terms of the text. It really, when you're talking about text adventures, I don't think that you could talk any louder than Radical Dreamers. But it's good. I like it. It's a very compelling story thus far, and I'm happy to be playing it. Now, this is my first honest-to-goodness playthrough. I'm not playing using a walkthrough, but I will say that I am playing using a nice manor map, just because, you know what, old Ales doesn't have the greatest of memories, and I'm putting it right in the corner of my screen. Unfortunately, Ales is not the greatest memorizer, and so I might read, hey, I'm going down this corridor, I'm going to this room, I'm going down the stairs. I forget once I get to the next room where exactly I came from, so this manor map just kind of helps jog memory and maybe bring me a little bit closer to what my actual goal is. So yeah, I think we'll have some fun. This one is cozier. This one is very slow paced, except of course when we have random battles. I will do my best to keep up with all the reading. I will say that at least the first time that I tried playing this game, my throat just couldn't take it, and of course it's also the fact that I was coming off of a very severe cold, so that certainly didn't help things with my throat. But today I think we're good. Today we're fine. I will also say that today is a bit of a farewell, unfortunately, because after tonight I won't be streaming for about 3 weeks. Aelwolf and the Pack will actually be traveling for quite some time. There will be some jet lagging to get over, and so you won't see me for the better part of a month. And maybe if anyone has any memories of the old Ales and Fails Twitch stream by the return trip, we'll be back and we'll be jumping back on exactly where we left off. So look forward to that. The return, that is. It's gonna be a while. Yeah, but let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Let's talk about what exactly is on tap tonight, because we're gonna enjoy ourselves. What we've got today is the Abbey by Oakland United. Our friends in Oakland United decided to prepare this beer, and I certainly like the can artwork on this one. It's like this old sepia brown tone, and it's like this wooden shed. It almost looks like an old monastery from Belgium. I guess that's what it's supposed to be, though. If you told me that was like a southern plantation, I would also not discount that theory. So what exactly is a Belgian double? Well, Belgium, along with Germany, is one of the oldest places, one of the two countries that has one of the oldest beer traditions. And so while German breweries had very specific rules to making beers, Belgium, on the other hand, decided to go exactly the opposite way and get very creative with their beers. And so I love them both. It's very difficult for me to choose one style over the other. But I will say this Belgian beers did play around a lot with things like yeasts. They certainly perfected sour beers. And they've got a lot of beers with spices, which gives them something of a fiery quality. I like to say, a lot of people like to mock me when I call them fiery, but I do find them fiery just because of the level of spices that are involved. And you can see that exemplified a lot with golden ales, Belgian golden ale specifically. Specifically, a Belgian double is a beer brewed in the old monastic tradition. They've got doubles, they've got triples, and they've got quadruples. And so there's a very simple rule of thumb here. If you're talking about alcoholic strength, they go up double, of course, like 2, triple like 3, quadruple like 4. And so the interesting fact about that is doubles and quadruples are dark beers, whereas triples are golden in color. I don't know why that is, but that is how they are. And of course, this is not a Belgian beer. This was actually brewed here in California. And so I would say it's probably more of a Belgian style double ale more than anything else. I've had this one before. Let's see what Untappd has to say on the matter. Let's pull this over here. Okay. There we go. It's a respectable 7.1% alcohol by volume. This Belgian style double has notes of cocoa, dark fruits, and a hint of caramel on the nose and palate. As this beer warms up, the yeast flavors and aromas begin to bloom ever more. The light brown beer pours clean with a dense mousse-like head. The hop bitterness is extremely restrained, letting the malt flavor and aroma shine through. Our Belgian style double is classic to style and is all malt with the addition of Belgian candy syrup. We decided to forego any herbs or spices and let the malts and yeast shine on their own. The perfect beer to warm you up in the final weeks of winter. So that's certainly an interesting take. I can't wait to taste it. I believe I've had this before in my alternate reality. Let's go ahead and taste this bad boy. See what the hype is. See what the hype is all about. Let's go back to this. And here's hoping that it's not an explosive can. Alright. And yes, it is an explosive can. Does it ever happen to you that you're assuming that a can is going to pop on you? You open it, it doesn't do anything. But then like a second later, it starts foaming up like crazy and you have to find some way to actually pour it. Yeah, that happens to me way too often, and I wish I knew some way to actually tell that's happening. Alright, so we've got our beer poured here, and it's got more of an amber-ish color, almost like a copper color, very similar to amber ales. The head is actually very strong of caramel notes. Certainly the ferment is Belgian. I want to say they probably use Belgian yeasts when brewing this particular beer. Good consistency on the malts. Fang and ale beer. And so sweet. I wouldn't say crisp, but certainly light. I want to say maybe like a 1.5 out of 5 in terms of body. A little reminiscent of like a pumpkin ale, to be perfectly honest with you. Some sweet malty notes. I guess that caramel is actually very present there. I like it, it's good, but it makes me wish that it had those spices that it says it's lacking. I guess if they're trying to showcase the malts, which is fine. I wouldn't necessarily call this like a malty beer. If I had to suggest a particular style for it, it would be like a red ale with strong caramel notes. I think that's what it would be, but certainly enjoyable. The Abbey, it certainly wouldn't kick it out of bed for crackers, as they say. Okay, so let me go ahead and update my ticker and enter my entry, and I will see you on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Okay, so let's get things started over here. Where's my picture? Let's put that right on the corner over there. Like I said, this thing is a bit of a lifesaver. Let's get started. I can't quite remember exactly where I was, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. What's the worst that can happen, right? We're gonna get lost in Viper Manor yet again. I should really make notes every time I play this. Originally released in 1996, imagine that. And I'm starting to think that maybe having the map on this corner of the screen might not be the most useful thing. Maybe let's move it over here, just in case I need to read something. Radical Dreamers, Le Trésor Interdit. Okay, so this, either this, or this is probably the oldest place I was in. Let's check it out. Alright, this was a goblin, maybe one of the leading goblins. I don't think he really wants to fight us though. Give us the key and you get to live, I said, trying to sound as threatening as I could. If you kill me, you'll never find out where it is. Why? You could spend all night looking and never find it. It was clear from his answer that he wasn't hugely intimidated. Well, he is just sipping tea right there. Looks like red tea. I guess when it came to looking tough and talking tougher, I was no match for Kid. I have a secret photograph of Kid. I don't know that she would really enjoy me doing that. Alright, what do you want? You'd like to know what I want. I want your heads. Grismel's eyes glisten. Oh? Or rather, I'm sure that's what my employer would have me say. But no, I have no such barbarous aspirations. Furthermore, I doubt I'd be a match for you. A very sensible goblin. Grismel chuckled as he said this. What I live for is the joy of conversation, which I fear my compatriots are ill-equipped to supply. Perhaps you might have one or two ripping yarns to share? Yarns? Grinning, he added, I'm sure notorious thieves such as yourselves must have more than a few thrilling tales up your sleeves. Okay, so maybe by yarns he means stories. So he wanted to hear a story. That seemed a more than fair price to pay for the key. I closed my eyes and thought, ah, I know just the story. How did it begin? One night, a young girl was walking alone in the forest, and then... Let's go with the more dramatic one. She was searching for a golden sunflower, the only way to cure her sick mother's illness. Then... the poor girl went without food for 3 days and 3 nights. The fragments I remember seemed about right. There was only one way the story could end. I took a breath and began my tale. One night, a young girl was walking alone in the forest. She was searching for a golden sunflower, the only way to cure her sick mother's illness. The poor girl went without food for 3 days and 3 nights. And then, in the moment of darkest despair, she saw a brilliant light. It was none other than the golden sunflowers she sought. The young girl gratefully pocketed the sunflower seeds. These will surely save my mother, she thought. But it was all a dream. With a smile on her face, the girl drifted off and dreamed forevermore. That was beautiful. Oh, that was beautiful, murmured Kid, wiping a tear from her eye. I guess I do know how to spin a yarn. Spin a yarn, spinneret. Griswold frowned. Not quite what I was expecting, and not the most riveting of tales. But I suppose it will do. The key, as promised. I took it from Griswold's hand. Something didn't seem right, though. Was he really going to give it up so easily? And was it really all right to trust such a strange goblin? Griswold seemed to notice my suspicion. He leaned back into his chair, looking at the ceiling. When I was a young tyro, a braver, stupider goblin, I once served General Viper, who was the lord of this manor until his betrayal by Lord Lynx. Despite my boorishness, Lady Riddell always saw something in me worthy of praise. Wait, Riddell? What's Lynx's adopted daughter got to do with anything? Oh, you don't know? Riddell's real father was none other than General Viper himself. And that actually matches with the story of Chrono Cross. What? Lord Lynx spared Lady Riddell's life so as to not snuff out that of the frozen flame. It's an uncanny stone, you see, has a life of its own, and some kind of spiritual bond with Lady Riddell. If only there were some way that I could free Milady from this manor. Alas, I alone am powerless to do any such thing. Of course, I would have no qualms if, say, you were to topple the usurper. I assume you intend to? Slay the old beast, I mean. It was a strange inquiry to make so casually. Kid would say this. I was too taken aback by the directness of Griswold's question to reply. I never expected to find one of Lynx's own guards asking me something like that. Suddenly, I was shoved aside. You're damn right we're gonna kill him. It was Kid, of course. Wait, who's saying this? And in exchange, I'll have some more of that tea to take with us. Kid's accent is always so difficult to... Kid held out her hand before Griswold could offer an answer. I suppose I have a bag I can share. Griswold shuffled awkwardly in his seat as he retrieved it. As ever, I was impressed at how Kid's uncompromising attitude and willingness to speak her mind seemed to always get her what she wanted. Bonza, sit tight and leave the rest to us, mate. Stowing the bag in her pocket, Kid took the job. You can trust me, I'm a girl owe me word. That might have been the biggest lie she'd ever told. Right, let's get moving. She made for the door with a spring in her step. We left the room and Griswold behind. Okay, so that wasn't a terrible encounter. We left the room and took the left turn down the corridor. We followed it for a while before coming to an intersection. The way to the right ended up at a staircase going up. The corridor also continued ahead, but the way was completely enshrouded in darkness. And so if I'm looking at the map here, I'm actually trying to remember where we are. Could we be in the guard room? We go right, the stairs is going up, which I believe goes back to the atrium and the manor's dungeon. Pressed on towards the kitchen. I think the kitchen is where we met that rat. And then we turn back. I wonder why we would need to go to the... I am actually wondering why we needed the key in the first place. And see, and this is exactly why I need to, why I should be, how to say, making notes here. I'm going to assume that we need to go to Lynx's room. That makes the most sense to me since I believe that is exactly where treasure might be. But there could be someplace else where there might have been needed to use of a key. So let's go ahead and shrink this guy once again. Let's take a sip, and also let's go ahead and save our game. How do I save my game? Which button is the button to save the game? It's not this, it's not. How unusual. Oh, here we go. Okay. So let's go back up. The passage soon ended at the foot of some stairs. With Kit taking the lead, we started to climb the narrow staircase. When we reached the top, we found ourselves at the end of a long, straight corridor. We continued on. We followed the corridor, eventually reaching a fork in the path. The path to the left would take us back to the atrium with the fountain. Going straight would take us to the old, sturdy door. What is the sturdy door? Let's see. Manners Dungeon. Huh. I don't know, it doesn't make sense to go back to the dungeon, though I can't quite remember exactly what was there. Let's go to the atrium. The corridor was dark and clammy. We pressed on, and soon the entrance to the atrium came into view. We arrived back at the atrium. An exit leading to Lynx's and Riddell's room gaped ominously from across the cavernous space. We continued on. Leaving the atrium behind us, we immediately found ourselves at a fork in the path. To the right was a passage to some stairs leading upward. A dark passageway continued on directly ahead of where we stood. I think we need to continue up ahead, because that's where we would find both Riddell's and Lynx's rooms. But let me know if I'm mistaken here. We left the atrium and continued on down the path ahead. Eventually, we came across an ornate door on the right-hand side. And I believe this is Riddell's room. We continued on our way. We went down the dark passageway, eventually finding ourselves at a sturdy-looking, immaculately polished door. It was Lynx's room. Kit's eyes lit up, gleaming in the darkness with savage anticipation. And so we go inside. Kit opened the door and slipped inside. Ah, these doors are so creepy. We have been in here before. So this is where you've been hiding, Lynx, yelled Kit as she barged into the room. What? Is Lynx here? I followed after her, panicking. I looked around to see no one else but us. Where is he? Kit was just standing there, clearly not in any danger at all. It was a joke, idiot. Had me all riled up there. All the strength drained from my body. Ha ha ha. Thought I was serious, did ya? Chuckled Kid, trying not to laugh too hard. Ah, I bet you wish you were living the easy life rather than traipsing round after me, eh? Ha ha ha. Your face. I ignored her and walked over to the mirror draped with a red silk cloth. Hi there, sorry about all the noise. The statue of Venus in the mirror giggled back at me. That's creepy. That's quite alright, Serge. What is your desire? Came her husky alto. Nothing much, just thought I'd check up on you since I was here. You mustn't say such things, your friends will become envious, she giggled mischievously. You what? Said Kid, her voice completely flat. That was not flat. And why would I be envious? Please, there is no need to get upset. I have a gift for you. Oh yeah? Yes, well, one might call it that. You see, I thought you might be interested to see what it is like inside the mirror. Wait, so you're inviting us to the realm of mirrors? Kid's interest was suddenly piqued. It won't take up much of your time. Come, Kid, step inside. The surface of the mirror rippled like water. I don't know, this seems like a trap to me. Kid reached out her hand towards the glass, then hesitated. She deliberated for a moment before finally pulling it back. You go first, Serge. You're her favorite. Are you sure? Kid nodded, and filled with excitement, I pressed my hands into the mirror. The surface was like cool water on my fingertips. Who's saying this? No, Serge, you mustn't. Suddenly, cracks formed in the glass. Is this gonna be a battle with a mirror monster or something like that? Am I prepared to fight? I guess we'll see. I gasped. What's happening? The statue in the mirror was weeping. I wish you weren't so trusting. You forget that I serve Lynx. What? I blurted out. I meant to trap you and your friends. The cracks in the mirror grew bigger, splintering off into more and smaller cracks. And that is not all. I foresaw your coming long ago and warned Lynx of it. I wonder if this is a dead end. But why? You were imprisoned here by Lynx. You were imprisoned here by Lynx, weren't you? Sighed Magil. The statue of Venus nodded mournfully. He sealed the path to mirrors beyond, preventing me from leaving the manor. Were someone to shatter all the mirrors within the manor's walls, I would be doomed. I would vanish, separated from my siblings forever. Eventually, the statue raised its head. But I cannot stand to be at its mercy anymore. The cracks deepened further, and shards of glass began to fall to the floor. Stop! I can't let you do this, I yelled, grabbing the mirror frame with both hands. This is what I want. Lynx will not suffer me to live after betraying him, said the image in the mirror, looking at me. But why are you trying to help us? Will that be your final question, Serge? Something in his voice felt like the trace of a smile. Very well, the truth is, But just then, the mirror finally split from top to bottom. The image's lips moved gently, but no words came. I tried to scream, but I could do little more than whimper. And it's gone. I took a shard of glass from the floor and gripped it tightly in my hand. Serge? Behind me, Kid was softly calling my name. I gave a slight nod and slowly turned around. Let's go. As we left the room, I turned to look back one last time, my eyes coming to rest on the remains of the mirror. I'd never be able to hear her voice again. I turned again and left the room. That was an unfortunate happenstance. I guess we didn't really need to go into Lynx's room. But then what is the key for? I guess we're going back. Let's go check out Riddell's room. Go ahead and save over here. Okay. We found ourselves in a tidy, welcoming room. The knickknacks and curios dotted around the place seemed to be well loved. The stately desk and the cozy-looking bed nearby, meanwhile, suggested the room's occupant was no stranger to luxury. Though the room was richly furnished, somehow it still felt awfully lonely. A half-written letter on the desk and a teacup, still warm, suggested the lady of the manor was still near. A window was slightly ajar, bringing in some much-needed fresh air. Whoa, what is that? Oh, a leaf. It seemed like someone had been here only moments ago. Let's come back later. We left Riddell's room for now. I guess this is not what we are looking for. Let's go to the atrium. And I think maybe let's try the Manor's dungeon. Maybe that's... Again, I'm kind of just playing a guessing game here. I don't remember going into the Manor's dungeon. And maybe that's where we need to go. We left. We don't need to go back to the stairs. We just need to keep moving forward. I really don't like this statue. Suddenly the darkness felt opaque. Something like a thick haze floated in the air in front of us, and then it took form like someone blowing smoke into a person-shaped bomb. I think this is a fight, folks. It was robed in a ragged shroud, and its sunken eyes glinted menacingly. It was the burning hatred that lingers even after death given form, a being driven by hatred for all living things. A ghost. Bugger. That's us out. Kid bit her lip. There wasn't anything she or I could do to deal with an enemy that had no physical body. The boys moved from the hall. Aguilar began casting a spell. I'm gonna slip past the ghost. They both already seen an opening. Aguilar quickly lobbed the spell at the ghost to distract it, and he slipped away while its attention was elsewhere. The ghost suddenly swelled in size, attempting to trap us within its spectral embrace and drain our life force. I could feel an incredible cold and pull at my toes. I barely touched the ghost, but I could feel that huge amount of energy had been drained from me in front of that brief moment. There was no time to blow on this brush to death. Having spotted an opening between the ghost and the wall, we quickly slipped through it. We're away. Whew, okay. So we made it past the ghost. I think that was a random encounter as best as I can understand it. And here's hoping that we don't encounter it again, considering that it doesn't seem like we can actually fight it. At least not us, maybe Magil. So I think at this point we're at this little corner over here. Let's go to the dungeon. Maybe the dungeon is what's locked. We continued down the corridor, eventually reaching an old, rather sturdy-looking door. Okay, here we go. Right, the key we got from that creepy old goblin should do the trick. Kid slipped the key into the lock. The heavy door groaned slightly as it slowly swung open. Clammy air rose up around our feet, as if crawling blindly through the darkness. This didn't seem like the kind of place anyone in their right mind would visit voluntarily. Bars. pushed the heavy iron door the rest of the way, opened, and stepped into the darkness. I am not liking this feeling. Okay. There was a row of cells, all locked behind iron bars. 1, 2. Oh, Gulliver, Melgid, Zoranda, forgive me, please. Please forgive me. We heard a voice from the third cell, whimpering and crying pathetically. I strained my eyes to look inside. Faintly, in the darkness, I could see something that looked like a man sitting on the floor. So this was the source of the voice. "Oi, you alright, mate?" Kid called out to the figure. "Forgive me. It's all my fault. It's my fault. The dragoons never deserved this." That looks like Radius. Lady Riddell, oh, forgive me, I beg of you." The old man didn't seem to respond to us at all. He only sat facing the wall, begging forgiveness for who knew what. "Hello, can you hear me?" asked Kid, trying again. "There'll be no getting through to him. His real self..." Oh, that was Magla. "There'll be no getting through to him. His real self will have long since retreated inside the shell he has created," said Magil, cutting her off. "Shell? What do you mean?" I asked. "He has built a shell around the core of his psyche in order to shield himself from the truth. He is running from something terrible. He has seen something, or been through something, or has done something. And so he has created his own world on the inside as a final refuge, the outside world lost to him forevermore." I looked at Magil in surprise. I had detected a hint of unspoken sadness in his words, and for some reason he was looking at Kid, watching over her as she stared at the man in the cell. Seeming to notice my gaze, Magil turned back to face me, assuming his usual emotionless expression once more. "We live in a world of sorrow and foolishness. It's only inevitable that some would try to escape it." But despite his hard words, his eyes retained a certain softness, his steely gaze giving way to a gentle light. "Do you understand?" I don't think this is a point to necessarily ask more questions. I think so. I gave a slightly evasive answer. "You seem confused. I don't blame you. You'll come to understand eventually." Magil looked at me and Kid. What was all that about, I wondered. Who is this? "We're not gonna get much out of him." Oh, maybe this is Kid. "We're not gonna get much out of him. He's miles away. Let's just leave him be and try someplace else." Kid made for the door of the dungeon. "Wait," called Magil. "We must find some way to get this man to speak." "What for? I mean, he's speaking already, just none of it makes sense. What are you after?" "Some things he said piqued my curiosity. He mentioned the dragoons, and Riddell too." "So, you said the dragoons are ancient history," snapped Kid. "Besides, how can we trust anything he says? He's clearly gone off his rocker." She had a point. The old man had long since cut his ties to the real world. What did Magil expect him to say? Without missing a beat, Magil replied, "We simply have to bring him back to reality." "And how are we gonna do that? You want me to do a little dance for him or something? See if that gets his motor going?" "Please don't." No, please don't do that. The words were out of my mouth before I could stop them. "What are you saying?" Her eyes narrowed threateningly. "You don't think anyone would want to see me dance, is that it?" Her No good answers here. Huh. No, I completely the opposite. In actually, ignore me. Nah, this should be good. Enlighten me, why don't ya? He's right. It won't work. And just like that, Kid's fist was flying towards Magil's face instead of mine. That's funny. He dodged the blow with ease and carried on as if nothing had happened. We must break through the shell he has created and drag him back to the real world. And in order to do that, we will need some kind of key. Something that will reach him even though the barrier he has erected. Yeah, and where we're gonna find this key? Asked Kid, suspiciously. I don't know, came Magil's simple reply. But there is someone in this manor who can tell us. You don't mean, you're not talking about Riddell, are you? I am, Magil replied with a nod. Alright, fine. Don't know what the heck you expect her to tell us, though. Kid turned over on her heel and made for the door. We left the gibbering old man in the dungeon, alone with his sorrow. Actually, maybe that's not Radius. Maybe actually that's General Viper himself. Come to think of it, if Riddell is actually the person that can get him to talk. I followed Kid and Magil back out into the corridor. Are we going to encounter this ghost again? Alright. And let's save right here. Take a sip of our drink. Still enjoying the Abbey double by Oakland United. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's go towards Riddell's room. Need to go, I guess, towards the atrium makes the most sense. So we continued on. And I think we need to continue on. I think that makes sense, right? We took the path to the right towards the stairs, leading upward. That's an unusual one. I guess we should go up the stairs. I thought... Actually, let's continue on the path ahead. Oh, I see what happened. We skipped right past the hallway with the Mask of Truth. So let's go into the Riddell's room. Maybe we'll be lucky and actually find her this time. We found ourselves in a tidy, welcoming room. The knickknacks and curios dotted around the place seemed to be well loved. The stately desk and the cozy-looking bed nearby, meanwhile, suggested the room's occupant was no stranger to luxury. Though the room was richly furnished, somehow it still felt awfully lonely. Is someone there? Came the voice of a young woman. We shrank into the shadows. Oh. This level of pixelation, I kind of have to hang back in order to more or less make a shape. The woman appeared from deeper within the room. She was lightly made up and had a gentle, unthreatening air about her. It was Lynx's daughter. Strange. I'm sure I hurt someone. I was at a loss as to what to do for a moment, but before I'd had time to do much more than hold my breath, Kid had already darted over. Okay, I guess we're all meeting up. And thrust her knife out, stopping the blade only a hair's breadth from the woman's neck. Where's the frozen flame? Answer me! Her voice came out in a harsh growl. I rushed in to hold Kid back before she hurt the poor woman. Kid, do we really have to do it this way? Shut your trap, Serge. Riddell couldn't help but giggle as she watched us bickering. What are you laughing at? Kid shot Riddell a harsh look. It's just, you don't seem like thieves at all. You want me to cut you, girl? I'd be surprised if that knife could cut anything. For a moment, I felt faint, imagining Riddell on the floor, covered in blood. But then, clang! Kid had thrown her knife to the floor, and I saw that it was only a letter opener. Huh, didn't think you'd notice. Whatever, I'm not here to mess around killing the likes of you anyways. I have no desire for bloodshed either, said Riddell in a voice that was almost a whisper. I am not your enemy. In fact, I want to help you. There wasn't a hint of hesitation or deception in her voice. Let me guess, you're trapped in the manor too. Riddell only lowered her eyes sadly in response to Kid's question. The frozen flames should never have been allowed to fall into Lynx's hand. I remember this song. Riddell spoke quietly, but deep emotion clearly underpinned her words. The flame was once the property of an ancient kingdom to the north, who kept it for generations. It was said to have the uncanny power to guide people and change history itself. After the kingdom fell, the flame changed hands countless times, until eventually it came into my father's possession. That was before I was born. Sometime later, Lynx became aware of the flame's true value and approached my father under false pretenses of friendship. Not a soul suspected what his true intentions were. And then, on that horrible day, he destroyed everything. He killed everything. Riddell shook her head, then buried her face in her hands. I don't care about the frozen flame. I don't care about that stupid accursed stone. It means nothing to me. I just want to take it away from Lynx and smash it to pieces right in front of him. And only we can make that happen. Riddell looked up with surprise as Magla spoke. No one else in the world can seize that jewel from Lynx. Riddell stared, speechlessly. And then, in a low voice, she whispered, What can I do to help you? There's a survivor of the Acacia Dragoons in the dungeon who we want to help. And if we're to help him, we need your help, said Magil, taking a step forward. What? That man is a traitor. It's because of him that father, that Surrender. Please, it's the only way. Riddell turned her back to us and hung her head low. She looks kind of Princess Peachy here. The Chamber of Death. There might be something to bring him back to the senses there. After all, it was there that he chose to abandon his pride, his life. I assume the Chamber of Death must be the cell with the trapped ceiling. Riddell nodded. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem, started Kid. The thing damn near killed us the last time. You will need to take the Ein Lancer with you. It's a sacred sword said to have been forged by an ancient sage and a sister blade to the crimson, cursed Masamune. The The timeless blessings of the Einlancer will surely keep you safe from the Chamber of Death's wickedness. It used to be such a sight to see it in the hands of Zoranda. It danced like the wind, shone like the stars, and struck like lightning. Lost again in her memories of other times, Riddell once more bowed her head. Forgive me, I have little more to tell you. You've told us more than enough. We'll take our leave now, said Magil, turning and making for the door. I wish I had the strength to change things like you'd, whispered Riddell, biting her lip. Kith hesitated for a moment, seemingly deep in thought. It ain't about strength, it's about having a purpose, something to fight for. I'll be praying for you. Kith shot Riddell a look over her shoulder. Great, maybe you can cross your fingers too. We left the room. Okay, so we need to find the Einlancer somehow. Leading the group as usual, Kid suddenly stopped. What's that? She jabbed her finger at something in the darkness. Straining my eyes, I could see a pale white bundle of something shaking in the shadows. Huh, that's strange. I moved in front of Kid to try to get a better look. And then suddenly, the strange presence started crawling across the floor toward us at an unbelievable speed. I didn't have time to brace myself. The white figure reached my foot, then reared up to its full height. It was a skeleton. So when I stood face to face, except I saw it staring straight at me, or seeming to at least. What was I gonna do? Let's tackle the skeleton. I turned to tackle the skeleton. Yarg! There was a crunching sound and clattering of bones as the skeleton was knocked back by the blow. His body split clean in two at the waist. Better luck next time, muttered Kid dryly. As if in response, the skeleton's upper body picked itself up from the ground, turning its skull towards me, balancing its body with its left hand, and pulled the skull from its head with its right hand. What's it doing? Before I could get the words out, it had heaved its skull at me. Dodge. Whoosh! The skull sailed past me as quickly as I stepped aside. Ow! Only to smash into Kid, who was standing right behind me. I couldn't have done that. That bloody hurt. What'd you move out of the way for? She returned the favor by thumping me in the back of the head. Michael walked over to where the skull lay on the floor and stamped on it, shattering it to pieces. The rest of the skeleton collapsed, falling apart with a clatter. It didn't move after that. We're done here. Let's get moving. Whew. I'd taken a few knocks, but I was alright. A scrape or two wouldn't stop me. Maybe you ain't such a drongo after all. Just goes to show any old weirdo can make something of himself if they put their mind to it. Kit's eyes glinted with mischief. The passage outside the room continued to our left and right. Okay, well, I have no idea where to find the Einlancer. I guess it could be in that treasure room that we saw earlier. There is a treasure room, isn't there? Let's check out the map once again. And that is also not what I wanted to do. Jeez. I'm gonna have to pull it up fresh again. Why did it suddenly just do that? Okay, there it is again. So yeah, there's a treasure vault right there. That is the only place where I think we would be able to find something like a treasure, of course, like the Einlancer. And it's right next to the torture chamber, so that might actually be very useful. It might actually make sense to go in that direction. Let's go ahead and shrink this map. And of course I can't shrink for the life of me. Alright. So let's not go to Lynx's room. Let's continue to the atrium. Let's go up. This really looks like early FMV. And while it is impressive that they were able to do things like this, it is still relatively unsettling, I think. Okay. And so we should be either next to the ballroom, the study, or the terrace. And the terrace is really just a way out. So that's a clock tower. We continued on. Okay, so this is the treasure room. Let's go ahead and save before we go in. 3 hours in. We've no time for baubles. The frozen flame comes before all else. Yeah, I know. We went in the direction of the terrace, so I guess this is not the place that we need to be. Well, we could just go to the torture chamber, but wouldn't that just mean we would die? Maybe let's check out the ballroom or the study. And so we continue on. This is just a clock tower again. Rattle, kid stopped us. There's something there. I listened carefully. Rattle, rattle, rattle. A figure appeared in the darkness on the other side of the corridor. It's a skeleton. Another one of these. Come on then. I leaped at the skeleton. Lashed out with its sword. The blood dripped from my face. The tip of my blade had scratched my cheek. Eep! I jumped back in panic. Hope you brought your brown trousers, grunted the kid. We squared off against the skeleton. It threw the sword it was carrying to the ground and took a step forward. And then it twisted its body into a strange pose. Wait, is it doing what I think it is? It proceeded to contort itself further, adopting a shape that could only be described as highly suggestive. Am I missing a joke here? For a moment, no one knew quite how to respond. What bloody hell? What should we... Wait, kid, look at Mag. Maggie seemed completely bewitched. There was no way he'd be any use to us in this state. What were we going to do? I attacked. Come on then, charged at the skeleton. I took advantage of the being created when it raised its sword and kicked it as hard as I could in its lower spine. There was an almighty crack as the bone snapped, and the skeleton fell in two. A split second later, it landed a massive blow on top half. With its skull shattered, the skeleton immediately came to halt. Huh, guess you can fight after all. We have defeated the skeleton. What exactly happened there? Kit turned her attention back to Magill. Can't believe this Drongo, though. Thwack. She brought her fist down hard on his head. Maybe that'll keep you up. Now, if we're done here, let's get a bloody move on. What was I... Oh, so I guess Magill was hypnotized? Wait a second, what's that? There was a leather bag on the ground, containing a sparkling gem. Now we're talking. Kit's face lit up with joy. Nice find, Serge. What a beaut. Kit snatched it away, leaving me to settle for the compliment. Whew. I'd taken a few knocks, but I was alright. A scrape or two wouldn't stop me. Not bad, Serge. Not bad at all. Didn't know you had it in ya. There was a mischievous glint in Kit's eyes as she rewarded me with a few more rare words of praise. Okay, so we're back into the terrace. Let's keep going. So we could go down the stairs, continued onward into the ballroom probably. Let's go into the study. Another skeleton potentially. A figure appeared in the darkness on the other side of the corridor. Here we go. We readied ourselves to a fight. Come on then. Lifted from my face the tip of the blade and scratched my cheek. Eep! Jump back in panic. Hope you brought your brown trousers, broke Kid. He squared off to the sword he was carrying. Very similar fight as before. And of course, Maggots gets bewitched. Not that I don't appreciate the random battles, but maybe they could recycle them, or sorry, maybe they could cycle them just a little bit better than that. And another leather bag. Are they actually going to tell us what's in these bags? We're done here, ain't we? Let's go someplace else. We left the room and retraced our steps. Okay, so I guess it's not the study. And I think we need to take the left branch to go to the ballroom. Kid gently pushed the heavy doors and peeked inside. Doesn't look like anyone's in there. It seemed to be the main hall of the manor. There was a massive table, beautiful decorations on the walls, and thick columns decorated with sculptures of birds and beasts. Fixed to the wall in the back towered a tremendous pipe organ, like a burnished black mountain. Dozens of candles provided a dim, flickering light, sending the corners of the room dancing in and out of shadow. Several enormous portraits glowered from high on the wall. Were these members of Lynx's family? I was busy staring at painting depicting a young husband and wife when I realized that their eyes had turned to look right at me. Okay, they hadn't. Don't worry. This isn't about to turn into some dumb ghost story. The story is creepy enough as it is. It just looked that way because of the way flickering light of the candles reflected against the glossy oil paints. Obviously. Probably. This place gives me the creeps. Get a load of all those ugly mugs. There's nothing for us here. Let's look somewhere else. Sorry. There's nothing for us here. Let's look somewhere else. Neither Magdal nor I had any objections. We left the hall and returned to the corridor. Okay, at this point we're just going through different locations. I guess let's... I can't imagine that the Iron Lancer was in Lynx's room. But I suppose that could be the case. Let's go down the stairs. And this is Riddell's room. And this is Lynx's room. Just in case there's a trap in here, let's go ahead and save. We're roughly saving every 10 minutes at this point. Kate opened the door and slipped inside. The room was completely silent. It looked to the corner of the room, to the place where she had once stood. Magdal put a gentle hand on my shoulder. Serge. I gave a silent nod and we turned and left her to her eternal rest. So it's not there. I am wondering what the relationship of that statue was to Serge. It almost seems like the game is suggesting that this was a person from his past somehow. Let's keep moving. Let's keep going to the atrium and encounter that hideous statue. So we can't go to the dungeon room yet. I can't imagine that there's something in the kitchen. But let's check it out anyways. We followed the corridor for a while before coming across a small door. Get a whiff of that. Something smells good, whispered Kid, sniffing at the air. We've been to this kitchen before. The mouse was gone, and so were the contents of the soup pot. There wasn't anything left for us here. We left. Okay, so maybe Grismeld might have some information for us. Let's go to the guard room. Oh, hello again. Grismeld gave a slight bow of welcome. I look forward to hearing the tale of your exploits tonight. Instead of sitting around on your ass waiting to hear other people's stories, why don't you get out there and make a couple of your own? His only response was to chuckle with wry amusement. And with that, we left the room. I am perplexed as to what we need to do here. I guess really the only places that we haven't checked out are the clock tower room, which I suppose could have treasure that we haven't really explored, or the torture chamber itself. That's unfortunate. We're gonna have to make our way all the way back, and while that in itself is time consuming, I think the bigger issue here is just the fact that we'll probably encounter a random encounter, which is not really the most favorable situation in this game. And let's go to the atrium. I almost wish we didn't have to stop there. And let's go towards the stairs. Let's head to the direction of the terrace. Let's check out the clock tower. In we go. Kit stilled her breath and reached out for the handle. The door wasn't locked. It swung slowly open. The room was completely silent, and there was no sign of life. There it is, our ticket to not getting turned into mincemeat. The ancient sword was right where Kit had left it after pulling it out of the pile of junk. She ran over to where it lay. It was here all along. Did I miss that part the first time we went into the clock tower? I guess maybe we did. Looking down at the sword Magil murdered. 2 ancient blades, the sacred Iron Lancer, and the cursed Masamune. What are you on about, Mag? You know something about this Master Mune? I imagine that. Is that the origin of the Master Mune? Magil said nothing. Well, it seems to mean something to you. It does. Uh-huh. Something to do with old friends I don't know about? Not exactly. An enemy then? Not exactly. You're being weird, Mag. Well, whatever. Oi, numbnuts. Grab this thing for me, will ya? I was still standing by the doorway when Kit called over to me. Who, me? Yeah, you. Or are you gonna make me lug the bloody thing around the place? I'm just a scrawny little girl, ain't I? Call yourself a gentleman? Neither of these answers are good. Let's answer with reluctance to accept that statement. In whose dark dreams was Kid only a scrawny little girl, I wondered. Suddenly, my thoughts were interrupted by a spinning kick to the chops. That's not good. Gah! My body flipped over in the air as sparks flew behind my eyes. What the hell was that for? Kid only humphed and looked away. Magil also turned away. I was thoroughly left out in the cold. Picked up the damn sword, Serge. We ain't got all night. Ye gods, she was a nightmare. Sometimes I wonder why you even bothered coming along on these little jaunts. Dazed, I stumbled to my feet and sheepishly picked up the sword. But what were we even supposed to do with this tarnished old relic? Whoa, I nearly fell over. That thing was heavy. Good boy. Right off to the chamber of death. Eyes on the prize, lads. Dragging the sword behind me with one hand and clutching my throbbing head with the other, I followed Kit out of the room toward a place where it sounded like certain doom awaited. Okay. Let's continue down the corridor. And that's the treasure room, of course. And now we're going back up. It was dark and the stairwell was narrow. We watched our footing carefully as we climbed. An old sturdy-looking door loomed in the darkness at the top. And so this is our next location. We're gonna go ahead and save just because the last time we were here we were almost killed. And I think we're going to take a quick break here, get something slightly different to drink. We'll be back in a few minutes. Gotta also go on a bio break here, folks. But stay tuned. The unraveling of the mystery is about to come forth. So I'm excited. Hopefully you're excited too. and we are back. Let's play a bit of forecast here. Alright, so I think we're about the halfway point through the stream. We've finally gotten our hands on the Holy Sword Einlancer. We're going to go back into the torture chamber. The idea is that there's something in the torture chamber that will wake up the person in the torture room or in the prison, and that will give us some additional hint of something that we need to do. I don't know how having a holy sword is going to stop a floor from necessarily killing us, but stranger things have already happened in this game, so it can't necessarily be completely for naught. But if we're going down the crazy tunnel of madness, let's go ahead and drink something that matches that energy. And so what I have here for us, our last drink of the night and the week and maybe the month, is Backwoods Bastard from Founders. Backwoods Bastard is something that I generally like to finish out a night with, and such is the case right now. It is a ale aged in oak bourbon barrels. Well, so you ask yourself, why would anybody want to age an ale in bourbon barrels? Well, things like wine age in oak barrels, and the reason why they do that is because it's a good place to keep it, but number two, the wine itself absorbs some of that oakiness. What happens with oaked barrel aged beers is that you take a barrel that was used to house bourbon, the spirit, and you place beer in it, and so what ends up happening is the beer picks up both notes of oak as well as some notes of that bourbon, and as you can imagine, it increases its alcoholic strength. So it makes for a very heavy beer, generally dark, generally very sweet. If you don't enjoy the taste of bourbon, this is not the type of beer for you. There's beers that are aged in other types of spirit barrels. I recently had something that was aged in rye whiskey barrels, which is quite delightful. It's got a slightly more vanilla-ish taste to it. But what does Untapped have to say in terms of Backwoods Bastard? Which again is something that I've had before. Let's go ahead and do this. So healthy, 11%. Expect lovely, warm smells of single malt scotch, oaky bourbon barrels, smoke, sweet caramel, and roasted malts. A bit of earthy spice and scintilla of dark fruit. It's a kickback sipper made to excite the palate. Distribution note, okay. Alright, well, so it suggests that it has notes of bourbon, scotch, and smoke. Let's see if we can find that ourselves. Let's go back to here, and I need to go get myself a bottle opener. Give me 1 second here. Alright, and the things that I do. Okay, let's go ahead and open this bottle. Yeah, let's go ahead and pour it. A very sweet nose. Another beer that it's ruddy in color, brownish. And at least with the aroma, you can already sense the bourboniness of the drink. And I don't know what, bourbon is certainly one of my favorite spirits. I don't have too many. I am not a spirit connoisseur, neither spirits nor cocktails, but I do enjoy the smell of bourbon. It's got a kind of like a corn-like quality to it, and I think that's what makes bourbon. It's by definition what it is. Kind of like a buttery, spirit-like aroma. Let's go ahead and taste this. Fang and ale, dear viewer. So again, kind of a buttery taste to it. It's got that languishing, lingering bourbon taste, so it's actually quite sweet. No notes of bitterness to be spoken of, though it does have an earthy quality to it. And I'm assuming that that comes from the strength of the drink itself. It is quite delicious. I love this. Yeah, very high praise for me. If you enjoy bourbon barrel aged beers at all, I highly suggest you find yourself in a Backwoods Bastard. I don't know, that's a little insensitive. I don't really like to. I wouldn't really want to call anyone a Backwoods Bastard, but whatever the case might be, this is a very enjoyable beer. I'm gonna go ahead and update my ticker. I don't think we need to go on a break here. Actually, this is considered a wee heavy Scotch ale, so imagine that. I didn't know that Scotches were also considered to be within the realm of bourbon barrel aged beers, but maybe I don't know my denominations as well as I did. Okay, so there it goes. Let's go ahead and check this one in. Actually, let's take a quick moment right here. We will be back in about a minute. Alright, and we are back. Let's go back into the game. Let's put the volume back in. Okay. So we need to go into the chamber, the torture chamber. I don't know how the Iron Lancer is going to play a role in here, but I guess if we perish, at least we save right before doing this. Let's see what happens. Well, this place is just as creepy as I remember. Lovely, grumbled Kid. She was looking at the stains on the wall. The ceiling had been pulled back up, but that was no reason to believe it might not come grinding down again at any moment. Bearing in mind what Riddell had told us the room was called, it definitely wasn't somewhere we wanted to linger. Quickly, hissed McGill before crouching down and examining the ground for clues. Kid and I crouched down too. What were we even looking for, though? What could the old man have left in this room that would help us bring him back to reality? The flagstones on the floor were smeared with a black, gooey substance which gave off an odd, rotten aroma. I shook my head, trying to drive an uncomfortable thought from my mind. Kit saw me and clearly wasn't doing much better herself. She slowly turned, positioning herself so that she was facing away from the stains on the wall. There was no point in thinking like that. I just had to try. But then... the door slammed shut and the gears ground into life. Here we bloody go again. We have to stop it. If we don't deal with the trap, we'll never find what we're looking for. Okay. The ceiling sank lower and lower. We ducked our heads, desperately trying to avoid the blades that jutted out from the bottom. Kid looked at me and screamed, "The sword! Use the Iron Lancer!" What? How do you use a sword? Ground. There! I drove the sword into the floor with all my might. A shock ran through the room. Beams of light scattered from the blade, covering the floor and walls, and then racing upward. The ceiling gave an almighty judder, then stopped. We made it. I sank to the floor helplessly, my heart racing. Hey, what's that? Kid was pointing at part of the wall. It was where we'd seen the message written in blood. Guess we found what we were looking for. Part of the wall had collapsed, revealing a cavity behind what had looked like a piece of solid stone. Inside, I could see something glinting faintly in the darkness. Kid reached in with her fingertips, carefully extracting whatever it was from within. It was a slender ring with a delicately engraved design that looked like overlapping ferns. The ring was adorned with several small rubies in a pattern that resembled a bunch of grapes. The crest of acacia. This must be an acacian signet. Kit put the ring in her middle finger, where it sat uneasily. It didn't seem to be her size. The rubies gave off an eerie glint. Right, let's not spend any more time in here than we have to. We managed to follow the trap and retrieve the acacian signet. I left the Iron Lancer where it stood, and we exited the room. I definitely got lucky. I didn't think that... So, before going into the room and thinking the ways in which I could use the Iron Lancer sword, my thought was, oh well, maybe we plunge the sword up into the ceiling and that'll stop the mechanism. But once I was given the choices, I thought, well, would it make more sense to just plunge it into the floor to have an area of effect? I feel like plunging it into the ceiling with the spikes would have probably only hurt me. It didn't make sense that a holy sword would have that sort of effect on just like a rudimentary trap. It kind of made more sense to plunge it into the floor and have it make something more of a generalized effect to the area. Anyways, I don't know if that's particularly good logic, and maybe both ways would have worked. I don't know. But lucky guess there. I guess now we have our marching orders. We have to go to the torture chamber. Or, sorry, the prison. I would have taken that Iron Lancer with me, though. Could have proven useful. Let's continue on. Okay. And so let's keep going. No need to visit the clock tower. Okay, this is definitely a random battle. Kit stopped in her tracks, her senses clearly tingling. Megala and I were right behind her, and I immediately realized that something was very wrong. We could hear a faint whispering, as if a spell was being cast. And a faint light was emanating from monsters sitting crouched on the flagstones ahead. What is this? A long bony finger trades strange shapes on the tiles. A demon! I pull out my knife and ready myself to confront it. Let's go with it. I made a dash to one side of it, lifting my dagger as I went. Tore through the creature's paper-thin skin, but it was only a flesh wound. Bloody things laughing at us. And it was too, chuckling maniacally in a way that made me deeply uneasy. I raised my knife again, prepared myself for the worst. I met the demons, and it was then that I saw that there was a twinkle behind them. I couldn't tear my gaze away. A chuckle grew to a belly laugh as it peered into the very depths of my soul. And then, just like that, it had muttered a few words and melted into the shadows. For seconds before it had towered over us, now not a trace of it remained. What was that all about? Why would it just disappear mid-fight? I guess it had someplace else to be. Kid gave a shrug, doing her best to at least feign indifference. But I couldn't shake the sense of unease that had filled me. I peered uneasily with the darkness into which the vile creature had disappeared. I was starting to feel a little worse for the wear. I was going to have to be more careful from now on, or this was going to end badly. Maybe you ain't such a drongo after all. Just goes to show any old weirdo can make something of himself if they put their mind to it. Kid's eyes glinted with mischief. We took the corridor leading to the left-hand side of the terrace, eventually arriving at an intersection with some stairs. I am a bit concerned as to what exactly happened there. Did the goblin or demon thing just curse me? Am I eventually going to die very soon? Certainly not what I would like for it to happen. And where's my map? Here we go. Okay. So we Sorry about that, folks. I needed to cough, but let's go down the stairs. So we need to go to the atrium. Once more to the atrium. To the dungeon. Ah, skeleton. There he goes. Come on then, I leaped at the skeleton. It lashed out with its sword. Blood dripped from my face, the tip of the blade had scratched my cheek. Eep! I jumped back in panic. Hope you brought your brown trousers, grunted the kid. We squared up against the skeleton. It threw the sword it was carrying to the ground and took a step forward. And then it twisted its body into a strange pose. Wait, is it doing what I think it is? It proceeded to contort itself further, adopting a shape that could only be described as highly suggestive. For a moment, no one knew quite how to respond. What the bloody hell? What should we... Wait, kid. Look at Mag. Oh, sorry. Michael seemed completely bewitched. There's no way he'd be any use to us in this state. What we're gonna do? Come on then. I charged the skeleton and tried to advantage from the opening creative when it raised its sword and kicked it as hard as I could in its lower spine. There was an almighty crack and the bone snapped. The skeleton fell in two. A split second later, Kid landed a massive blow on top of Alf. With the skull shattered, the skeleton immediately came to a halt. Huh, guess you can fight after all. We had defeated the skeleton. wonder if I should assess the situation at some point. I don't know. Can't believe this Drongo, though. Fuck. She brought her fist down hard on his head. Maybe that'll wake you up. Now if we're done here, let's get a bloody move on. What was I? Oh, ow. I was starting to feel a little worse for wear. I was going to have to be more careful from now on, or this was going to end badly. This is the second time that message has popped up. I'm assuming it's from that fight with that goblin. Not bad, Serge. Not bad at all. Didn't know you had it in ya. There was a mischievous glint in Kit's eyes as she rewarded me with a few rare words of praise. So I guess I'm just getting worse, is that the idea? Okay. So we are at the dungeon. Let me go ahead and save here. So I probably will need to go back to this at some point if I want to get this poison state off. Okay. Having retrieved the acacia signet, we returned to the old man's cell. As soon as we got there, Magel took a step forward and grabbed onto the bars. They creaked and groaned as he heaved at them, grating his teeth as he summoned every ounce of his might. Slowly, they bowed apart. He stepped into the cell through the gap, and Kit and I followed. Geez, if it was that easy to go into the cell, why didn't we do that in the first place? The old man was exactly as we had left him, staring into space and muttering meaningless words. Kit walked over to him and crouched down. She grabbed him by the collar and yelled at him, "Wakey, wakey, Granddad! We got a few questions for you. Here, get an eye full of this. Ring any bells, Kid waved the acacia signet in his face, shaking him roughly all the while. The old man's head lolled as he limply allowed himself to be manhandled. Let me try and stop her. I tried to get between Kid and the old man. She glared at me. "You're in the way, Serge. We're here for answers, remember? But if you really want to help, you can't chicken out now." But look at him. There's no helping him anymore, surely. This all ended for him long ago. I would not be so certain. This is not over. It still means something. He has simply decided to pretend not to see it. Yeah, but it's not over. Wait, who's... It's not over, you say? Struck by the man's sudden interruption, we all turned to look at him. A faint glimmer of light had returned to his once vacant eyes. What voice could we give this guy? I didn't like that voice. Let's just stick with it. That's right. None of this is over until we make Lynx pay. His eyes began to cloud once more. So my former allies have finally come for me. I am to blame. It is because of my indiscretion that the frozen flame was stolen, and that all of the Acacian dragoons, only I remain here in the manor. But now all is well, for you have returned. Oh, Melgid, Surrender, where have you been all this time? Did you all return to the Lake Stoic? Never mind that, Granddad. Where's the frozen flame? Give us a clue, anything. Come on, out with it. I couldn't decide if Kid sounded more annoyed or more desperate. The frozen flame? The old man looked momentarily confused, and then a wan smile crossed his face. My lord, my word, Lady Riddell, it has been far too long since last I had the pleasure. Why, you need only turn the third candlestick from the left as you enter the main hall. That will open the underground vault, as you know. Kid wrapped her arms around the old man and held him tight. And then, in trembling voice, she whispered, "I'm sorry. I promise we'll get it back." "Ah, gah." The man recoiled in horror and then began to sob once more. "I'm to blame. It's all my fault. Forgive me. Forgive me." "Look, if you want to get out of here, now's your chance." But it was no use. He was too busy cowering and wailing to hear me. "We're done here, Serge. We can't help him, and there's things we need to be doing." "Thank you," I whispered to the old man before following Kid and Magil out of the dungeon. Okay, so she pretended to be Lady Riddell, I think. I think things are moving in the right direction. The only thing right now that really concerns me is me getting worse for the wear. So we need to go to the main hall, which is, I guess it's the ballroom, right? And here we are back at the atrium. And that has nothing to do with anything. So back at the atrium, let's continue on. Let's go up the stairs. At the top, we found another intersection. Let's go to the right. This was the main hall of the manor. And let's go ahead and save, I guess. Let's keep the 327 just in case. Kid pushed the heavy door as quietly as she could and peered inside. Looks like the coast is clear. We stepped into the main hall. Dozens of candles provided a dim, flickering light, setting the corners of the room, dancing in and out of shadow. The great hall was filled with a heavy silence, a silence unbroken save for the ticking of a large clock that slowly counted the passage of time, as if waiting for something. Several portraits glared down at us with cold eyes. We moved through the feeble glow of the candles. "Third candlestick from the left," whispered Kid. 1, 2, 3. There. She reached out towards it. I held my breath as I watched. "Say your prayers, Lynx. We're coming for you." Kid turned a candlestick. The room trembled with a sudden rhythmic sound, as if a massive gear was turning. "What's that?" For a moment I felt a strange sensation, as if I was floating. "Do you feel that?" I started to stagger. "The entire room seems to be moving downward," came the reply from Magil. "And welcome back to the stream, Inaito. This is actually not a Resident Evil game. This is actually Radical Dreamers, which is a game in the Chrono Trigger franchise, if you are familiar with that. kind of an interesting entry. It's kind of a text adventure released for the Super Nintendo, only in Japan. So yeah, very interesting. I don't know if you are aware of sorry, not aware, but familiar with the Chrono Trigger franchise, but this game, specifically Radical Dreamers, was kind of what led to the game Chrono Cross, which was a PlayStation 1 game. Yeah, that's kind of like a brief summary of that. Right now we're exploring Viper Manor, and we're trying to find the Frozen Flame. And it's got this game's got a definitely eerie tone to it, definitely Resident Evil-ish. I couldn't quite believe it, but I also couldn't deny the feeling of downward motion. The maiden hall was sinking into the earth. And then another rumble. The room's descent rapidly accelerated. Cold sweat dripped from my back. Yeah, I never played Chrono Trigger, but I heard rappers sample its music in their songs. It's great. I don't deny it. Chrono Trigger's got a great soundtrack. It is certainly one of the games that I'll type Chrono Trigger lo-fi. There's gonna be a bunch of playlists, and I kind of like to chill to that. My heart filled with a mixture of fear and anticipation. What was waiting for us down there? The Frozen Flame. Our prize at the end of this little adventure. What was it, really? Would it live up to our expectations? I tightened my fists, which were slick with sweat. Poor kid and Maggie thinking. The room remained veiled in silence. As a response to my thoughts, a quiet voice came from next to me. Sometimes it was Kid. I looked over to see her standing stiffly, staring forward with her hands clenched into fists. Sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in a losing battle. A fight I'll never win, no matter what I do. It was a side of her I'd never witnessed before. Even from this angle, I could see fear and doubt flickering across her face. I felt a tender sting in my heart. We'll win, I promise. There's nothing to worry about. We'll win in the end, I promise. Drongo. She gave a gentle smile. Can't promise anything in this world, Serge. There are no guarantees. But thanks anyway. She grinned again, seeming a little embarrassed, then looked me straight in the eye. And then I had the strangest sensation. This wasn't Kid, or not the kid out, not the only kid anyway. I was overwhelmed by the inexplicable oddness of the idea. She noticed immediately, of course, and our little moment was over. The kid I knew was back in the room. Trying to catch flies, mate? Sorry. It's just that for a moment there, it felt like you were someone else. What are you on about? Kid made me a confused look, tilting her head. It must be because we were drawing near to the Frozen Flame. Magel's voice, as soft as ever, slipped unbidden from the shadows. What the heck are you two on about? Kid turned towards him with another puzzled frown. There's another self within you, struggling against the pull of the abyss. What has she been talking? Crash split the silence as if we collided with something. Screech. Is that a screech? I don't know how you would read that. Screech. A loud metallic scraping filled the air. Yeah, this is quite the text-heavy adventure. Certainly challenging. But at least I've got beer. The room rocked and finally came to a halt. Looks like the end of the line. All change. Come on, let's go. Nagel and I gently nodded our assent. Kid grinned and turned back to the door. I'm coming for you, Lynx. This is the end for you. And with that, she led us from the hall. We continued down a long, dark corridor, the walls slick with condensation. We must be someplace new because this is not detailed in the map. The air was thick and heavy, as though ripe with the stench of death. We were really getting close to Lynx's hidden vault at last. That music reminds me of Kafka's theme from Final Fantasy VI. And was there any turning back now for any of us? Something strange about Kid that night. Nagel didn't seem to be his usual self either. To begin with, it was vanishingly rare for him to speak so much, let alone to show any kind of emotion. What happened to make him change like that? Unable to take the silence anymore, I decided to speak. I feel like the story is making it seem like these two are acting very out of character as the night moves forward. I had to ask the question that had been on my mind all this time. Actually, why do you want the frozen flame? I figure that it is a thing that gives you power of some sort, but why do you want it? Hey kid, why do you want the frozen flame so badly? All I got in reply was a cold echo of her response. I should have known. She didn't like to talk about her reasons for doing things. After all, it was a topic that was likely to lead to discussion of her past. But then she spoke, though it was almost a whisper. I'm doing it for Sis. Before she died, she told me to find the frozen flame and bury it. Bury it where? Her old mate's grave. Kid looked at her feet as she walked. She wasn't my real sister, but she was good as family to me. When she took me in, I was bloody helpless. Couldn't remember a thing, and I was barely old enough to survive on my own. She didn't go into much detail about who her mate was. Best I can remember is that I needed to... Sorry. She didn't go into too much detail about who her mate was. Best I can remember is that I needed to find the grave of a girl who married another mate of hers and died not long after. She said that's where the frozen flame should be laid to rest or something like that. To be honest, I wasn't paying much attention at the time. It's not like I could have known what was about to happen. When she disappeared and I realized she wasn't coming back though, I sure didn't make good on what she asked me to do. I'd nab a frozen flame from that rat bastard Lynx and get my revenge. Kid's eyes almost seemed to glow with heat in the cold air. I'll make him pay for everything he's done, no matter what it takes, even if it kills me. And then she fell silent. Sorry, kid. I didn't mean to bring up something so painful. There was a pause before she replied. Nah, you're alright. You should have said something sooner, before I roped you into this. Sorry. Silence reigned supreme as I fumbled around to try and find something to say in reply. But all that filled the darkness of the corridor was the sound of yet more footsteps. Suddenly, Nagel stopped in his tracks. Wait. Huh? Kid turned around, puzzled. Just then a powerful light surged across the floor, and a ring-shaped sigil appeared. Damn it, a blood circle. Kid and Maggle were at least quick enough to try and jump clear. But they weren't quite quick enough. The three of us were trapped in a circle of blinding light. Here we are. Oh, we finally get a good look at Serge. What is he wearing? Like a weird hat? Kid looks very much like herself in Chrono Cross, and Maggle definitely looks like Magus from Chrono Trigger. The sigil rotated left and right because of the center, cutting off all routes of escape. Yeah, we're trapped. A wall of heat and wind blew up around us, and swirling lines and spirals of light assailed us where we returned. Don't let the light mesmerize you. Cover your eyes, shouted Maggie, raising a hand over his mask. Turn with the light, not against it. There has to be a way out. What? I barely even understand what's going on. Kid's elbows brushed against the wall of light surrounding us, sending a spark flying. Be careful. Merely to touch it is more than enough to harm you. Stay well back. Okay. Finding the sigil, slowly turn my body to follow the light to the ring of light, looking for the gap to escape through. Okay. Let's say turn 3 times. That didn't do it. Couldn't find a way through and clutched helplessly into this rolling vortex of light. We've made it through one of the barriers of light, but not without taking a few bumps and bruises. But we weren't out of the woods yet. There was still another wall of light, this one swirling with great wind. I slowly turned my body to follow the lines of the great light, looking for a gap to escape through. So I'm looking at what the sigil is doing. But I feel like this thing is turning away multiple times that the choices are suggesting that it's still okay, that didn't do it. Couldn't find a way through it, clutched helplessly into this rolling vortex. I don't think following the graphics really well. Amid that brilliancy of brightness, I chanced upon the face of an angel, her eyes filled with sorrow. Serge. And that was how I died. Well, that's the end of that. Rough times, folks. Rough times. So let's give it another go. Pick up from the last save point. Okay, so let's go inside. And we'll just skip through this since we've already done this particular part. I'll probably save once we're inside the hallway. This discussion with Kid. And we say the right things. To the things that Kid says, potentially something of a second persona in there. Who knows? About why Kid is searching for the frozen flame, of course. Talks about her sister. And so I guess spoilers for Chrono Cross. Her sister was Luca from the cast of Chrono Trigger. If we're supposed to assume that this is the same person. Looks like we're gonna have to go through this the next time we go through this particular section. Here we are once again. Next time I guess we save earlier before the corridor. Okay, the sigil rotated left and right with us at the center, cutting off all routes of escape. But yeah, we're trapped. Okay, we're not doing 3 left or 3 right. Cover your eyes. Turn with the light. missing here, folks. And that was how I died. Okay, maybe we give it one more go. I hate to have to go through that entire wall of text. So we go in. Third candle selects from the left. 1, 2, 3. I wonder if that has any significance for later. So things are moving. We have a heart-to-heart with Kid. I think, how to say, in terms of how we progress through this adventure, we have certainly become a little more keen on Kid. She was far more gruff and unapproachable at first, but of course that was a rough exterior to protect herself. And there we go. Trying to see when we can save. Constantly trying to pull the save menu. here we are. The circle of light. Turn with the light, not against it. Okay, so turn with the light. Now you're talking, Serge. You always think that you always made use of the suit. That, okay, I guess that didn't help anyone. The fool that plunged headfirst into the swimming vortex of life, only to be beaten back by merciless, unseen forces. Ow, ow, ow! We made it through one of the barriers of life, but not without taking a few bumps and bruises. Imagine that. Thought we were done there for sure. We weren't out of the woods yet. There's still another wall of light. This one's surely with a great one. So we turned the light. Hovering in light, down, escape. Okay, well, certainly not that. 3 seconds, right? What? Okay, well, I guess I'm dead. Whew. That was unfortunate. Certainly one way to call it a night, I suppose. My word, my word. Okay. Let's leave it here, go back to intermission. Let's go with fresh. Well, folks, I think we're probably going to check out a walkthrough before the next time we head back into the world of Radical Dreamers. I think we made some great progress. I think we're very close to the finish. I think we just need to figure out some way to actually get through this swirling circle of light. But at the very least, it's been enjoyable. I certainly enjoyed trying to figure out this puzzle. Some of the puzzles actually made a bit more sense than this, but you know, we can't have great what would you call it, mysteries. Anyways, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so tonight is actually, as I mentioned earlier, my last stream for a while. I'm going to be off for about 3 weeks. I'm going traveling for a while to very distant lands, and yeah, it doesn't make sense for me to promise something that I can't deliver. So look forward to seeing me, I want to say maybe closer to the first week of March. That might make a bit more sense. I hate to do this because I really love streaming, even though a very small number of people watch it, but you know what, they show up and they're the best. So thank you all those that decided to tune in and view today's stream. recent streams, what have you. My schedule should be the same once I return. But yeah, hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Hopefully you've got some fun stuff planned ahead for you. I guess next week is Valentine's Day if you so choose to celebrate that. It is also supposed to be a day of friendship. I got some great friends. I hope you got some great friends too. And if you need a friend, I'm also here. I like to listen to people. I'm not the greatest person to solve things, but I certainly like to provide my opinion as much as I can. We're social beasts, everyone. We need each other. Let's try to make it so that everyone is having a good time. But with all that nonsense out of the way, have a great night. And as I like to say, stay thirsty, Ale Pack. We'll see you again.